Welcome to Stephen FM AI, Ireland's Daily Digest. Today, we're digging into 5 stories that, on the surface, have absolutely nothing to do with each other. We're talking about a fatal police shooting, a hospital in crisis, a looming trade war, a fight over a street sign, and a brand new school. But trust me, when you put them all together, they tell one single, urgent story about the Ireland of right now. So let's get into it. We start with these 5 words that just stop you in your tracks. They're from the inquest into the death of George and Ken Show, and they sit right at the heart of a massive national debate about force, fear, and accountability. Imagine waiting 5 years for answers. 5 long years. Well, that's been the reality for a family at the center of this first story. The inquest into the fatal shooting of George Nensho is finally open, and the testimony is laying bare just how deeply tragic this event really was. And look at this timeline. It's pretty stark, isn't it? From 2021 to 2026. Just think about that gap for a second. That's 5 years of waiting for a public hearing, 5 years waiting for evidence to be examined, 5 years waiting for any kind of closure. The delay itself has become a huge part of this story, highlighting this incredibly long road to accountability.
So this is where it gets incredibly complex. You basically have 2 completely different realities crashing into each other. On one hand, you have George's sister testifying that her brother was in the grips of a severe mental health crisis, that he was hearing voices. But on the other hand, you have Gardaí on the stand saying they were, quote, terrified, facing a man with a knife who they genuinely believed was a lethal threat. The whole job of this inquest is to somehow navigate the truth between these 2 harrowing perspectives. Okay, so we're sticking with this theme of state accountability, but we're shifting from the street to the hospital ward. A new report has just dropped, and honestly, it's pretty shocking. It's exposed systemic failures in our children's hospitals, where the most vulnerable people in our society are being put at risk by the very system that's supposed to protect them. And this is really the central, terrifying question the report asks. It suggests a culture that has become so toxic that the fear of professional backlash is actually overriding the duty to keep patients safe. And when that starts to happen, well, the consequences can be absolutely devastating. You can almost see the chain reaction of failure here, like dominoes falling. It starts with a culture of bullying. That, in turn, creates a fear of reporting errors. Then you throw in failing, outdated computer systems, and the end result? Sick children are sent home, but their family doctors have no clue what vital care they need because crucial information is missing. This isn't just one mistake, it's a total systemic breakdown. Now, while all these internal struggles are happening, there's another battle brewing on the global stage. And Ireland, well, we're stuck right in the middle of it. We're caught in the economic crossfire of a potential trade war between 2 of our biggest partners, the EU and the United States. The weapon at the center of all this has a very fancy name, the anti-coercion instrument. But honestly, everyone's just calling it the big bazooka. And that's exactly what it is. It's a powerful set of sanctions the EU can fire at any country it feels is using economic intimidation. And right now, its sights are aimed squarely at the US. And this really lays out Ireland's impossible position. We are stuck between a rock and a hard place. The EU is our political home, our trading bloc, but our entire modern economy is built on investment from the US, our single largest investor. So when powers like France and Germany want to fire this so-called bazooka at America, we risk damaging the very economic relationship that our prosperity depends on. And this is not some abstract, far-off problem. This number right here, that shows the drop in Irish share prices. The markets are already reacting. Just the threat of this trade conflict, the sheer uncertainty of it all, is already having a real, tangible, negative impact on our economy. Okay, so while our national government is wrestling with huge questions of international law, one local council in Northern Ireland is taking let's say, a very different approach. This is a fascinating story about how the desire to reshape identity can clash directly with the rule of law, right down to something as small as a single street sign. This quote, right here, gets to the absolute heart of the matter. Councillors in Mid and East Antrim were explicitly warned by their own lawyers not to proceed with renaming Prince Andrew Way. And they decided to just do it anyway. And this shows the breakdown in black and white. The council's lawyers pointed out a simple fact. You can't just rename a street if you don't have an official policy for how to do it. Their advice was clear. Create the policy first, then act. But it seems political will just outpaced legal procedure. creating this incredible standoff between what people want and how things are supposed to be done.
All right, so from a story about tearing down an old, controversial name, we're going to pivot to our final story. And it's a hopeful one. It's about creating a new name and building a shared future in a place many, many people thought was impossible. This is School na Síolta, an integrated Irish language primary school. And what makes it so remarkable, so important, is its location, East Belfast. A traditionally unionist area where, for a very long time, the Irish language just wasn't a visible part of public life. This school is changing that, big time. And the school's name itself shows just how thoughtful their approach is. Scoil na Celta. It means School of Sails. It's a direct nod to the iconic shipyard cranes that dominate the skyline there. So instead of creating division, the school is weaving the Irish language right into the fabric of East Belfast's proud heritage. It's about building bridges.
So, we have covered a lot of ground. A police inquest, healthcare scandal, an economic threat, a local legal battle, and a groundbreaking new school. They feel like they're miles apart, don't they? So what is the thread that ties every single one of these stories together?
This is it. Every story we've looked at is a different battlefield in the same wider struggle. It's a fight for accountability from our state institutions, whether that's the Gardaí or the health service, and at the same time, it's a deep, often contentious reevaluation of what it even means to be Irish in the 21st century, both here at home and on the world stage.
And here they are, the 5 fronts of that battle. We demand accountability from our police and our hospitals. We fight to protect our economic stability. And we clash and sometimes collaborate over identity in our town councils and in the classrooms of our schools. This right here, this is where the future of the island is being forged.
So I have to ask you, what do you think? Looking at these 5 fronts, which one do you believe is the most critical for the future of the island? Is it reforming our state institutions, securing our economy, or these grassroots efforts to build a new kind of identity? We would genuinely love to hear what you think. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. You know, whether it's unfolding in a tense courtroom, a struggling hospital ward, or a hopeful new classroom in East Belfast, these stories show a nation in profound transition. We're grappling with our past and actively trying to build our future right before our very eyes. And that's the latest from Stephen FM AI, Ireland's Daily Digest.